Get to the bottom of what's truly healthy in this crazy, complex world, so you can take back what is rightfully yours. Welcome to the Health Sovereign Podcast. This is your host, Logan Christopher.
Welcome back. I'm Logan Christopher, and this is the Health Sovereign Podcast, and today we are covering the final points in the Health Sovereign Creed, number 15 and 16. How do you like this creed? Are you going to live by it? Are you going to strive to? It's not a simple like yes or no type thing, but steps along a journey with this. Two final points today. One somewhat similar as the last one, then definitely a big stand on the final point. Anyway, let's dive in. Point number 15. I recognize that other large industries have track records of criminal and harmful activity in releasing man-made, dangerous chemicals into the environment. I will aim to educate myself on such actions and reduce the support of such companies for the health of all. So when I'm saying other large industries, so beyond big pharma, we went into that clearly in point number 14, that they have criminal track records of harmful activity, but so do so many other big industries doing the same sort of thing. So we all know about tobacco and how it causes lung and other forms of cancer, right? Everyone knows about this. Everyone is aware that the CEOs of tobacco companies straight up lied under oath, saying they were not aware of such effects, that they purposefully muddied the scientific waters, hired PR people, did campaigns, formed AstroTurf organizations, did all kinds of stuff in order for the public not to recognize the scientific fact so that they could continue to profit. Everyone knows that, right? Well recognized. Do you think that is the only industry that has ever occurred in? Are you so naive? Or does it occur in pretty much every single big industry out there? Same sort of tactics. Sometimes called the big tobacco playbook. The truth is people were doing it before tobacco. That's just the well-known industry case, where it seems so obvious now. But it wasn't necessarily obvious to people back before all that happened. So we covered some of the stuff regarding the pharmaceutical companies in the previous episode with point number 14. But let's talk about some other people here. Let's take Monsanto, for example. One of the least trusted companies out there. Well, they're not their own company now. They were bought out by Bayer. And Bayer is a pharmaceutical company. They have these people operate in the same sort of circles, things that happen. So for a long time, a lot of people have brought up issues around genetically modified organisms. And all of Monsanto's scientists and people that they may incentivize and bribe say it's completely safe. And they'll run trials that show this. But once again, how you set up a study dictates the results you get, for a large part. Not how science should be done, but how science is being done. And with their many pesticides, I understand drug companies and chemical companies are largely the same thing. A lot of the stuff comes from the same places. So Monsanto, right now, they are beginning to lose lawsuits over Roundup. Kind of sucks for Bayer, who just bought them out, because it seems like there could be a whole lot of these. Some big ones in the news, just a first couple, but yeah, there's quite a few hundreds more in the pipeline, I do believe. So losing lawsuits saying the jury is deciding, judges are deciding that their chemicals cause cancer. Now, it's mostly in people that are like spraying Roundup and have lots of exposure to it. But if it's poisonous to people, it's poisonous to people. Dose matters, sure. But once again, and I think we addressed this before, this idea of reductionism with understanding our microbiome, the bacteria, and other components of that. All the original science was saying like, oh, this Roundup, these pesticides do not affect humans, but they affect bacteria. And what are we largely made of? Oh, bacteria. The shikimate pathway, certain things that plants have and bacteria have that humans do not have. So they're losing lawsuits over this, and I do hope that continues. I do think it will continue. That's one company, Monsanto. Let's look at some others. DuPont and 3M. just recently. This was on Netflix documentary. I had not really heard much about this case before, but I would recommend watching this. It's called The Devil We Know, and it is about DuPont and 3M's production and cover-up of the harmful effects of Teflon. Yes, the non-stick coating on your pans. Do you still use Teflon? I sure don't, because I'm aware of this, and now you are about to be as well. Teflon, I guess it's fine if it is just staying on there, but these pans scratch up over time, little flakes of it getting there. What they're seeing in the town where they produced it, because they're just dumping this chemical into the water, that birth defects increased in humans and animals. Lots of farmers lost like their whole flock of animals because of it being in the water supply. And they hid this up. They said it was safe. Are you seeing the pattern yet? This is what these sort of companies do. It's unfortunate, and I'm not saying every single company out there does this, but if we look around, wow, so many companies do this. I think you need to understand this point. Marketing. So I'm involved in marketing for my company, Legendary Strength, telling people about fitness stuff. I do marketing, a direct response form of it. Same with Lost Empire Herbs. We send out lots of emails and information, and we have ads running in different places. Like, marketing is not necessarily a bad thing. How are you going to get people to find you? The thing is, at this higher level, what companies seem to do, what industries, the top people do, there's like a different level of marketing where it is really about propaganda and controlling the worldview of the masses, this higher order thing. I mean, think about, say, Coca-Cola. Well, we can use them as an example too. Coca-Cola, other companies, and the whole industry saying that sugar is not a problem. Sugar is not causing obesity. Sugar is not causing diabetes. Really? Come on. And they'll come out with their own science that says so. If you look at, I just saw this recently, the science saying that sugar does not cause ill effects versus science that says the sugar that does cause ill effects. If we look at the industry funding or tie-ins of these different ones, it's almost 90% or over 90% of the stuff that says sugar does not have ill health effects was tied to industry. All the science that was not tied to industry, 95% of that said there were negative health effects to it. This is how science actually operates in our world. Not how it should, not the ideal of science, but how it actually operates in reality. This is what all these big companies, these harmful criminal companies, are doing. Falsifying science should be a crime, and with a stiff penalty. Back to DuPont and 3M and Teflon. So all kinds of birth defects, all kinds of things. They denied it. They said the science was safe. They did all kinds of different things. And eventually they were, I think there's multiple cases, but in a big one, they had to pay out $671 million. What was very cool was that the people, instead of just taking all that money, even though they had been harmed and deserved it, they took a large chunk of that and did a study showing real good science, showing completely that this was having some devastating effects and that it was just being spread in the environment. That's the thing. It'd be nice, okay, Teflon, like if you want to use it, that is your choice. But it's not just about you. You then wash the Teflon pan. Those flakes are going into your pipes and going into the water treatment plants or just getting dumped. Who knows exactly where and how all these things get spread out. And of course, the company themselves just dumping tons of this, the byproducts of that production everywhere. Ecology, the bigger picture. We have to see this. So if it was just your choice, fine, do whatever you want. Unfortunately, it's not just you. So we need to be aware of these things. So as I said, we can reduce the support of such companies for the health for all. Yeah, instead of Teflon pans, get a cast iron pan. Yeah, you may be consuming more iron from doing so, but that's generally not a problem. More of a problem for guys than women because women bleed monthly. Guys, you can do what is known as, well, you can give blood, or there's just the therapeutic phlebotomy, something like that. Forgetting the exact term right now, but just get rid of blood, essentially, and we can reduce our iron supply that way. Cast iron, overall, much safer. Oh, imagine that. Something that has been used for hundreds of years. Sure, they cooked in other things, ceramics, but iron's been used for a long, long time with not too bad of effects. But we come out with this technological intervention. Hey, things don't stick to it. So it's more convenient. And so much of our technology is about convenience, and we find there are worse health effects from doing so. So here's the thing. This chemical, specifically in the Teflon called C8, finally, DuPont, 3M, they said, okay, we're not going to do this. But DuPont's like, no, we're going to continue. I mean, Teflon's still out there, right? We're going to just replace it with this other chemical called Gen X. This other chemical probably has just as bad of the effects. We see this in the plastic industry. Everyone is looking for bottles and plastics that say BPA free now, right? Bisphenol A having some horrible xenoestrogenic effects in the body. Horrible, horrible stuff. And this was banned from baby bottles and stuff like that. But what is happening? Unfortunately, in many cases, not all, but in many, they're simply replacing it with BPS or BPF, other bisphenols that likely have the exact same type of effects. Maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse even. This is what these industries do. Track records. Look at history, look at many different examples, and you can see the bigger picture of what is being done. We will be going deeper on these topics. I feel like if everyone understood what is sometimes called the tobacco playbook, tobacco industry playbook, all these different ways that science is misled, that misinformation is purposely spread out there. So you have to understand this, that if people are willing to put profit over people's lives, and that is ultimately what it comes down to in this, are such people going to have any sort of problem with lying? No, they're not. They're going to straight up lie to your face, lie to in media interviews, in PR pieces, all kinds of different places. They will lie because, well, a lot of people at the top of these industries unfortunately seem to be, I can't say for sure, but if we look at behavior, sociopaths, psychopaths. We have this idea of the psychopath is the serial killer who goes and hunts people. And sure, that seems to be the case once in a while, but think about this. If you really wanted to cause a lot of harm, is killing people one by one the best way to do it? If you are into power dynamics, which these people seem to be, and money is a good surrogate for that, but you can cause a lot of harm. There might be some sick people that actually enjoy the process, knowing what they're doing here. Well, there are better ways to do that than being a serial killer, or what we commonly think of as a serial killer. We could look at these industry heads, people making these decisions. Are they not serial killers? Far more successful than the biggest mass shooters of them all? It seems to be the case. Once again, I look at all these different industries, see the same tactics, the same strategies being used, often the same PR companies. We can see the connections between these. The people that sit on the board of directors on one pharmaceutical company, maybe on a chemical company over here or a financial company over there. See the bigger picture, see the pattern, and you can begin to break free. And that's what it comes down to. So I'll aim to educate myself. That's the first base. You gotta understand. And this stuff is hard. There's so much stuff going on. Did you know that BPA is on thermal receipts? So the receipts you get out of checkout, the BPA is on there oftentimes and will just come off into your skin. If you don't know that, you may think it's just paper, but it's not. So you need lots of education. And that's something I'm hoping to bring you here on the Health Sovereign podcast. Hope I'm succeeding in that, but many other places as well. Aim to educate myself on such actions and reduce the support of companies for the health of all. It's a hard thing. We can't just cut them off. You might be able to, like pharmaceuticals. I am committed to not using a single pharmaceutical drug unless it is critically important for myself. I can't necessarily make that decision for other people, but I can do that myself. But what about plastics, right? There's plastic everywhere. You can't get around this world without plastic, but you can certainly reduce your plastic use. In the kitchen, I strive to use as little plastics as possible. And yeah, you can get BPA free. You can even find some stuff that says all the bisphenol is free, but can you get rid of it completely? You can do things like use glass instead of plastic. Can't get rid of it completely, but aim to reduce. I buy organic food as much as possible, everywhere I possibly can. I support the people making the right kind of thing, even if it's industrial organic. And certainly we see some of these tactics and things bled into that. So local Small farmers tends to be better, but even there, it's better. So aim to reduce. Do the best you can and keep making steps towards doing better and better. Important for your health and for the health of all, because if almost no one supports pesticide use, those companies are no longer making money, no longer spraying this stuff. And that's one way we can tip the system towards greater health, greater life. Point number 16. I recognize that we all must be able to make our own medical choices for ourselves and our families. I will stand up against all medical totalitarianism. There's a reason I end on this point. Ultimately, this is what health sovereignty is about. I control, I make choices about my own health. And because my baby, my children, until a certain age, cannot make choices for themselves, I, along with my wife, we must make choices for our family. We are health sovereign, sovereign right. If we are not able to make these, if the government makes them for us, well, that is a slippery slope. Do you want the government deciding what is right for your health? When we see these kind of behaviors going on with big companies, and this is something I didn't even touch in the creed, the revolving door, how a top CEO or a chief executive of some type or president or whatnot of a company will go and then join the regulatory agency that regulates that company. There's problems here. And if this is the kind of government we have going on, cronyism, not just pure capitalism, but cronyism, which unfortunately it seems capitalism always descends to, do we trust a government to make choices for us? I wish I could say, yes, our government is amazing. But let me ask, do you trust your government? Everything going on in all these other areas, you trust your government? You think they have a right to make medical choices for us? Especially here in the so-called land of the free? I mean, our founding fathers, still flawed people, but holy crap, the foresight they had, the system they set up. Now that system is being systematically dismantled. People in these industries in related fields are doing a very good job of that, dismantling this system of checks and balances, of separation of powers, because the founding fathers saw that any power will lead towards totalitarianism. And so that's a strong word, medical totalitarianism. But for a doctor to say that you cannot make this choice regarding your health, I think that is wrong. And it doesn't matter what that choice is, because it is my choice to make. So examples of this: cancer. A child gets cancer, and they are saying you have to do conventional Western medical treatment for this cancer. To not do so, you are endangering that child. We will throw child protective custody at you. We will do all kinds of things because you are not making the right choice. Oh, that is harsh. Like, this is bad enough. Your child has cancer and the government is dictating how you treat it. When we can look at cancer treatment and see it's not the best thing in the world. Here's the thing. It is not equal. Because if the people decide to do alternative medical treatment and the child has success, that's great. No one will ever hear a damn word about such things. If they do alternative medical treatment and the child dies, the parents may be sued or thrown in jail for child endangerment. But if the child does conventional treatment and survives, great. Once again, won't hear anything of it. If the child dies, well, here we also will not hear anything of it. But we know chemotherapy and radiation cause cancer themselves, down the line, likely to come back, that it can weaken the immune system, cause other sorts of problems. It may be the most advanced technological medicine that we have that doesn't necessarily make it the best. And I am arguing the parents have the right to decide there. But that's the difference between the two. Conventional fails, won't hear anything about it. Alternative fails, oh, that's going to get in the media. Why? Because it plays to the story that they want to tell. That this stuff is wrong, that it's hogwash, and you will be punished if you fail. You may think that's conspiracy, but, well, once again, we can see this play out. So here's the thing, I'm going to flip this. Parents feeding their baby a vegan or restricted diet. I do not agree with this. I do not think it is right. Not scientifically, but naturally. Just going back in time, nature, the statistical significance of nature. There's no such thing as a vegan people that has survived long term. People are experimenting with it now. Good luck to them. Vegetarians, they have done that, like in India, but they used animal products. So feeding a baby vegan food, and exclusively vegan food, even without mother's milk, then they're going to be lacking in certain nutrients. But, and this is hard to say, should the government be able to step in and do that? But here's the thing, the kind of a dichotomy here too. Oh, you can feed your baby food full of chemicals, but you can't try to be healthier and feed them vegan food. You can do all kinds of different crap to your baby as long as it is within the conventional worldview, but you can't do this experiment. Once again, don't believe babies should be vegan at all. If you want to do that as an adult, all the more power to you. And I think a lot of vegans are going to be far healthier than standard American diet or standard worldwide diet now, fast food and all that crap. Absolutely. Though I think the more ideal diet, once again, because of looking in the past, I think one of the best works on nutrition is Weston A. Price's Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, because he looked at all these people across the world and they had all kinds of diets, but some commonalities. It was all natural food, minimally processed, but they all had some sort of animal products in them. Whether this was dairy in certain European cultures, all kinds of different meats, seafood, all kinds of different things, no one was vegan. So it is a bit of an experiment. But should the government be allowed to say you cannot do this? I think maybe they don't make it illegal, but then like in Belgium, there with a case of this, and it was like worse than vegan, it's super restricted. But this is the media saying it, so one-sided story for sure. Yeah, they convicted the parents of child abuse or neglect or something along those lines for it. So maybe that should be on the table, but I don't think you should have your kid taken away if you don't want to do chemo. And there's another area where this medical totalitarianism is coming up, becoming a much bigger thing. And here's the thing, I'm not even supposed to talk about this subject. You're going to have to read between the lines because I'm not yet ready to talk about this subject for these very reasons. But the thing where government is saying you have to do this highly technological intervention because it is completely safe and effective. What have I said before? These interventions tend not to be as safe as they say and tend to be not as effective as they say. But I'm not allowed to talk about this because I am deemed to spread misinformation. Should I even mention stuff that's even on government websites? It's all lumped in together. This is how you control the worldview. So this is why I stand up against medical totalitarianism. This is part of the reason why I titled this podcast the Health Sovereign Podcast. We need the education. We need to become aware of what is going on. Not just like, oh, you should take this B vitamin, simple stuff like that. We need the bigger picture for us to truly be sovereign in our health because the worldview is closing down in on around us. We have this amazing tool of the internet, but we're seeing censorship spread across big platforms available online. So where's the world going? Well, these people, top of industries, right? They're smart people, very smart people. They may be sociopathic, but they certainly seem to be intelligent and able to think far ahead in the future. So where is the future going? It's going towards more of the government deciding what is right for you, your body, your health, your children's health. That is where we are going in the future, unless people wake up and begin to make these decisions themselves and stop the things that are happening that allow them to take such measures. That, unfortunately, is the way the world is working right now. But I do have hope. I am optimistic. Going through some of this information, definitely do get pessimistic from time to time. And there's good reason to believe like, oh crap, we are in for it. But at the same time, can easily flip to optimism. Ultimately, you do have the power yourself. You do have the responsibility yourself. And by listening to things such as this, listening to the many great guests I've just started to have on, but so many more coming, I think we can really get to a better place of understanding health, of understanding sovereignty, and taking that not just in health, but really everywhere, because the bigger picture of health is much bigger than just having to do with your own personal health. That is what it comes down to. So once again, that is the Health Sovereign Creed. That's over at healthsovereign.com if you want to download a copy yourself. Here's the thing about the creed. I would love to hear your feedback. I feel this is long-winded. It's been a fun exercise, especially recording these episodes, not just writing it in the first place. But I feel it can be distilled down to a smaller essence and really to get to a place where people might want to sign it or agree to it and really build a movement around this. So I always figured with this first version, just gonna brain dump, put it out there, see how it goes. But I would love to hear your feedback. Are you all for it? Or are some of these points like too crazy for you? I want to hear your thoughts. You can email me at logan@lostempireherbs.com. You can leave comments on the healthsovereign.com website, all kinds of other places. And once again, iTunes reviews really helps out, spreads this message to more people. And with sovereignty, we need a collective of sovereign individuals to really start transforming things for health and otherwise. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for listening. And please head on over to lostempireherbs.com. A lot more information there, even around a lot of these topics, because I've been writing about it for a while. But a lot of information on herbs. I do think herbalism has always been the people's medicine. They took that away from us to the point where people don't even recognize herbs anymore. That's a weird word. They don't know how to use these things. They know nothing about it. They're successful in doing this. Even though I hate the things they don't, I do give some respect for how they have controlled the system to some degree. It's kind of awe-inspiring, to be honest. But we can take it back, and I think herbalism is a great way to do so. Learn how you can work on little things yourself, improve your performance through the use of herbs. We have a good supply there, a few different great herbs available. There's much more out there, but it's a good place to get started with. So check it out. That's lostempireherbs.com. Thank you, and I'll be back next week.
This is the podcastfactory.com.